The Crusades, a clash of two faiths that changed the world. Imagine living in the 11th century, a world of castles, knights and warriors deeply devoted to their faith. Suddenly, a cry echoes across Europe, a call to arms to reclaim the Holy Land. This marks the beginning of the Crusades, one of the longest and most complex conflicts in world history. The Crusades were not merely military campaigns, they were a clash of civilizations, faiths, and ideologies whose consequences echo to this day. In the 11th century, the Islamic world was expanding rapidly. The Seljuk Turks had seized much of the Byzantine Empire's territory in Asia Minor. Emperor Alexios I Komnenos, desperate for assistance, sent a plea for help to Pope Urban II. The Islamic expansion threatening the Byzantine Empire, persecution of Christian pilgrims in Jerusalem, the Catholic Church's desire to reunite with the Orthodox Church, and political and economic instability in Europe, all played key roles in leading to the Crusades. On November 27, 1095 at Clermont, France, Pope Urban II delivered a speech that would alter world history, God wills it, or in Latin, Deus vult. This phrase became the battle cry of the Crusaders. The Pope urged Christians across Europe to liberate Jerusalem from Muslim control, aid Eastern Christians and receive full absolution of sins. The First Crusade achieved shocking success. In the year 1099 the Crusaders captured Jerusalem, committing horrific massacres of Muslims and Jews. 4 Crusader states were established: the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the County of Edessa, the Principality of Antioch, and the County of Tripoli. After Edessa fell to the Muslims, King Louis VII of France and Emperor Conrad III of Germany led forces east, but the campaign ended in total failure. Saladin recaptured Jerusalem in 1187 after the decisive Battle of Hattin. Although the Crusaders failed to retake the city, a peace treaty allowed Christian pilgrims to visit Jerusalem safely. Instead of reaching the Holy Land, Crusaders attacked Constantinople, a Christian city, deepening the schism between the Western and Eastern churches. At the start of the Crusades, the Islamic world was, pretty fragmented. The Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad held spiritual authority, but their political power had really diminished. The Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt represented the Shia sect, while the Seljuk Turks were dominant in Asia Minor and Syria. Nur ad-Din Zengi, who lived from 1118 to 1174, began efforts to unify Muslim lands. And then, Saladin, born in 1137 and passing in 1193, fulfilled this vision by uniting Egypt and Syria, becoming the most influential Muslim leader against the Crusaders. The Crusades, they redefined jihad or struggle in the path of God as a defensive obligation for all Muslims to protect their faith and territory. Now when it comes to the rules of warfare in Islam, there are some really clear principles. No killing of civilians, women, children, or the elderly. No destruction of fruit-bearing trees or crops. No damage to religious sites of other faiths. And prisoners of war must be treated with compassion. Saladin's leadership was, honestly, defined by justice even toward his enemies. He chose forgiveness over vengeance, and always emphasized the protection of civilians and sacred sites. On the Christian side, society was organized under the feudal system. The economy was primarily agrarian-based, with serfs tied to the land. The social hierarchy placed the king at the top, followed by nobles, knights, and then peasants. The church played a dominant role, really shaping politics, education, and land ownership. On the Islamic side, there was the Sultan Caliphate system. The caliph served as the supreme religious authority but was often politically weak. The Sultan held the real political and military power. The Iqta system granted land tax rights in exchange for military service. And of course the ulama, those influential scholars and religious figures, were highly respected. In the Christian world, just war theory, as outlined by St. Augustine, stated that war must have a just cause, be a last resort, and be authorized by legitimate authority. The doctrine of indulgence promised crusaders full forgiveness of sins. Over in the Islamic world, the concept of Ummah emphasized unity of the global Muslim community. Dar al-Islam referred to lands under Islamic rule, and Sabr, or patience, was all about enduring hardship for the sake of faith. In 1291 the city of Acre, which was the last Crusader stronghold, fell to Sultan al-Ashraf Khalil, marking the end of Christian rule in the Holy Land. The The reasons for this failure included disunity among the Crusader states, logistical challenges from Europe, rising unity among Muslim forces, and political changes back in Europe. So, new trade routes between East and West brought a wave of prosperity to cities like Venice and Genoa. There was also, a significant transfer of technology. Agricultural techniques improved, advances in medicine and pharmacology spread, and new ideas in mathematics and astronomy were shared. Plus, military innovations really changed the playing field. Well, education saw a big leap as Arabic texts were translated into Latin, which actually laid the groundwork for European universities. In art and architecture, you could see a fascinating blend of Islamic and Christian styles emerging. And of course, European cuisine was transformed by the introduction of new spices and cooking methods. The political landscape shifted dramatically. Many feudal lords were bankrupted by the costs of war, leading to their decline. Meanwhile, monarchs consolidated resources and gained more power, paving the way for the rise of nation-states. And, not to forget, the East-West schism deepened, creating church divisions that still persist today. The Crusades taught, some really important lessons about unity, showing just how vital solidarity is when facing external threats. Military advancements also emerged, with improved warfare techniques reshaping strategies of the time. And of course, trade expansion played a big role, strengthening economic networks across the Muslim world. Even today, misunderstandings about the Crusades still persist, and for many, they remain a symbol of interfaith conflict. You'll also notice that some modern groups, they often invoke the Crusades in contemporary political rhetoric and conflicts. Conflicts in the Middle East are, more often than not, analogized with the Crusades, which just shows how deeply these events still resonate. In the realm of diplomacy, there's a greater need than ever for interreligious and intercultural understanding. For Islam, unity is seen as a virtue, representing collective strength in adversity. There's also a strong emphasis on defensive ethics, especially when it comes to the protection of faith and land. And Saladin is often upheld as a model of leadership, a paragon of justice and mercy. For Christianity, the Crusades sparked questions about holy war like, is violence ever really justified in the name of religion? Over time, there's been a growing emphasis on tolerance and the importance of peaceful coexistence. Plus, the idea of ethical warfare began to take shape, with an increasing focus on developing humanitarian war principles. The Crusades were more than just a conflict between Christians and Muslims. They were, honestly, a civilizational confrontation that revealed the depth and complexity of human belief. Understanding is the key to peace, while misunderstanding only breeds conflict. Religion should not be politicized, because, let's face it, that usually leads to more harm than good. Coexistence is possible. History actually shows us that interfaith harmony is achievable. And, true leaders are peace builders. The ones we remember are not the warriors but the peacemakers. In today's world, which is unfortunately still marred by religious and cultural divisions, the Crusades teach us some important lessons. Mutual respect really is the foundation of peace. Education and cultural exchange help foster understanding. Justice and compassion, those are the true marks of leadership. And defense should never be exploited for political gain. The Crusades are not just history, they are in fact a timeless lesson for building a world rooted in peace, justice, and shared humanity.